Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm Ashley Time for a Breather, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you how I dye my roots and mids after a year-long grow out to a pale silver blonde. I'm going to show you the tools, the products, and the techniques I have used for almost a decade now in order to ensure a successful and healthy color. Let's get in the video. Alright guys, so I'm going to first show you the supplies I use as well as the setup I use in order to get this done correctly and without any sort of like super things going wrong at any point in time. So first of all, I'm going to show you the supplies I use. So here is my bleach. This is the Ion bleach. I've only ever used this bleach before, just on random chance when I started bleaching my hair like forever ago. I've actually never had like any problems with it. So I use that one as well as I use the Ion developers. Now, I keep buying developers in like different volumes, which the lower the number, the less the strength of it. So a 10 only kind of like opens up your cuticle just a bit in order to get stuff out and in. And then you go up to like your 20, your 30, your 40. Now I use 30 in order to do my bleaching, which I do a double process bleach. I have used 40 in the past, which I haven't really noticed that much of a difference between 30 and 40. And so I'm using 30 to kind of just protect my scalp as much as I can. The 10, I actually don't know why I bought a 10. Like this is kind of useless unless you're like putting permanent dye in your hair. So I'm actually gonna mix a 10 and a 30 to make a 20 to put the toner in. And then here are the toners that I use. I have here the T14 and the T18. I normally use T18 because I do, again, a double process of bleach to get my hair to that like very pale yellow. However, since my hair is so grown out, I'm gonna see how it is after the double process, in which case I might use fully T14 or a mix of a T14 and 18. The T14 is more for like a true like bright yellow, like somewhat leaning into orange type of hair. So we'll see. However, I do need 2 boxes in order to fully tone all of the hair that I currently have. Now, as far as other supplies I have here, I have a mixing bowl, which this is just one of the Rubbermaid ones from Dollar Tree. 2 brushes, one for bleaching, one for toning. I have 2 caps here, one for bleaching, one for toning. I have 4 pairs of gloves here, 2 for each of the bleach processes, and then 1 for the toning, and then an extra one. Always give yourself an extra one just in case one rips, it gets all over your fingers, you take your gloves off, oh my gosh, how'd that bleach get in there? We'll always have it on hand. And then we have some clips as well as some claw clips and a very rat tail comb here in order to separate our sections, as well as I have paper towel. Now, I have pre-cut paper towel. I know it seems like, why would I do that if I don't need it? I don't know how many I need. Do this first. There's nothing more irritating than, oh my gosh, you spill something, you got it on your skin, you need some paper towel immediately. You go over here, fidget with it, but you got like bleach all over your hands trying to get, no. Now, we're not ruining an entire roll of paper towel. Pre-cut some sections, leave them off to the side. I also have plenty of towels here. None I am not willing to bleach or dye, right? Because these can be bleached to death in the washer dryer in order to get anything out. I also have here a separate trash bag for everything I am going to use. Anything that I touch in this process and I'm going to throw out goes in this bag only and not in my regular trash. Sometimes, you know, you'll have product left over on things or in bottles, you throw it away, it may explode later. So you want to like have its own separate garbage can. That way you can take it out immediately after and you don't have to worry about anything going wrong. Now over here by the tub, I have a shampoo. Yes. This is, sometimes I don't shampoo after bleaching. You don't have to if you are sure you've gotten all the bleach out, but sometimes my hair just clings together and I can't really tell if I've gotten all the bleach out. So we'll save that, have it on hand though, just in case you need it. This is for after I've like toned, bleach toned, done everything. This is like an after color treatment, again from Ion. I don't really think this helps lock in color like it claims. I think it's pretty much just like a hair mask, like a deep conditioner. But I do like how it leaves my hair after it's dried, so that's great. As well as I have drying towels here, a whole stack of them. Again, not worried about getting these bleached or colored. I then have a kneeling, like this is, you know, I gotta like kneel over the tub in order to like get my head over to rinse it. So have a kneeling, just so my knees are like well protected. As well as I have this. Now I rent, and this is obviously like porcelain tub. If if there's like any cracks in your porcelain anywhere and you get toner in it, it will stain it, okay? Now, I don't see any cracks here, but just on the off chance, because I want to get my deposit back when I leave this place, I have a towel here. That way, should I be like going over when I'm toning, like it splashes everywhere, something is there to collect it. So keep that in mind. As you can see, like along here, anywhere I am going to be, there is not extra crap in the way, right? I've moved it all out of my way because for one, I do not want to get color or bleach all over everything that I own and use on the daily, obviously. But also, there's, again, nothing more annoying if like you go to like reach for something or like, and you knock it over. Meanwhile, there's like purple all over your hands. You can't get to it. It's spilling everywhere. Let's just like put those aside. We don't need them for now, just for safety. As well as, here's like a hot tip as well. If you're doing this in a bathroom specifically, do not put anything on top of your toilet seat. Because let me tell you, this is gonna be like a multiple hour process, right? And if you're someone like me who drinks a lot of coffee, when that coffee hits and you need to pee, meanwhile, you have like stored everything on top of your toilet seat and then you need to move it in order, because you gotta pee like right now. That is also irritating. So again, we're going for convenience in this bleaching and toning process, right? Now, as well as you can see behind me here, you need a back mirror in order to do this well. You need to see in the back of your head. Like there is nothing like more that looks like I did my bleaching process at home as having black and brown spots in the back of your head that you didn't even know were there. So I have this just like it's a regular floor length mirror, right? But I have put it upon, as you can see here, some 12 packs of all these sparkling water. Like it doesn't matter, just like get it propped up. And the reason, because I have before used like plastic tote containers or something light in order to set it on. But again, there's nothing more annoying. If you like hit it on your way out of the bathroom, it shakes your mirror and possibly turns over and crashes and crumbles and shatters all over the place. Like we're preventing that right now. So make sure to put your mirror on something heavy to where if you crash into it, it's just not gonna shoot all the way across the room. As well as, this mirror is not gonna be fully stationary. As you can see, it's able to like turn back and forth because when you need to do one side of your head and the other, let me see if I can actually like get it here. So I don't know if you can see that, like the camera's basically in front of it, but I can see the back of my head completely from that mirror. That way I can do it on this side, as well as if I turn the mirror the other way, I can then see this side of my head. I want to make sure the mirror is turnable, that way I can see every single square inch of my head. That's it for all of the supplies. So let's go ahead and get into the actual bleaching process. All right guys, so as you can see, I'm gloved up here for safety, and I've removed anything, everything, and all things I do not need in my workspace. That way, again, no spillage situations going on for safety. Got my clips, my comb, my hairnet, as well as like, I'm just gonna put the brush on here when I'm done using it in between. Now here's my bleach. Now, as you can see, this is more of like your foamy, creamy type texture. You can technically make it as runny or as thick as you want. It's just a lot of people would, I guess like hairdressers normally say that you want it like runnier, that way the bleach doesn't dry out, because once it dries out, it stops working. However, I found that I like mine a little bit thicker because when I'm taking it from here all the way up and slopping it in the back of my head, if it's too runny, it's gonna just fall directly on the floor. Like I have too far of a distance to go, and I'm only using one and also trying to see in the back of my head. Like I just like mine a little bit thicker. Now it's generally like, I guess I'm gonna say, because I don't use measurements, I just know what texture I'm looking for, which is how I recommend anyone to really do it. Especially if you need to like mix bleach, like just a little bit, like you don't want like a full scoop and then 2 full scoops of developer if all you needed was like a little bit. Generally say this is probably like a 2-to-1 ratio, like 2 developer, 1 powder. Maybe like a little bit less, because again, I like mine a little bit thicker. Now I am ready to actually start bleaching. I'm gonna go ahead and section my hair and I'll get back right with you. All right guys, so I have created 6 sections in my hair. If you can see, I have 2, 2, and 2. I left one out because that's what we'll be starting with. I start back to front. That way it's just easier to lay the hair down, and you're not like, if you start here, you essentially have all of this building and building and building, and then when you go and try to like see in the back of your head, there's all this crap in the way. So start front to back, as well as, I don't know if I said so, but this is grown out by about 10 months. I only do my roots 1 to 2 times a year just because I don't really want my scalp to get that damaged, because I do have psoriasis, as well as like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you suffer from psoriasis like me on your scalp, if you have open lesions, aka you scratch the plaque away, definitely do not bleach your hair. Like, that is something that goes without saying. You should not get bleach in an open wound. That is like by far worst case scenario, maybe like worse than getting it in your eye. So definitely have waited for my psoriasis to calm down. My scalp is currently not itchy. It is also not been washed for a full week. Like, it's real greasy in there. I think I even have probably dandruff and plaque floating around in there, but it doesn't matter. The bleach is gonna decimate everything. As well as, I do have just like a slight bit of oil in like my blonde pieces here, just to somewhat protect them from like if I drip some bleach on it. Like, of course, if I get bleach on like a huge portion of the ends here, I'm gonna immediately wipe it off with water. Now, if you cannot tell, I do have very fine texture hair, as in the strand itself is very, very thin. So bleach can soak through the entire strand pretty quickly. So my hair does actually develop very quickly, which is good. That's like preferable, of course. That way it's not sitting around on your scalp especially. As well as I have like, I would say like a medium amount of hair on my head. So I do have to use a lot of bleach as well. And since this is 10 months grown out, I will be not only bleaching roots, but mids. So the middle section of my hair, which is why I do a double process. I first am going to fully coat all brown bits of my hair. Second process, I'm gonna go in and essentially only get the mids. I know in like a perfect world, if a hairdresser was actually doing this for you, they would do the mids, let it get to a certain level, and then go ahead and do the roots. That way all processes at once and turns out one color. However, since I do have fine hair, and because of that, it processes very quickly, there's no way for me to essentially be able to just fill the mids and then go back and fill the roots without it coming out uneven, just because I cannot work quickly enough. I cannot keep up with the speed with which the bleach is actually turning my hair. So that's why I do it that way. But again, in a perfect world, like a one bleach process should be obtainable if you go to like a salon, right? Like, that's what they're there for. They can work quickly enough in order to do that. But I can't, especially since I'm like in the back of my head, like literally looking in a mirror to do it. I just work far too slow. So I'll do a double process. First process, I'm gonna get all of the brown, and basically I'm gonna rinse it out once the roots turn the color that I need, which would be a very pale yellow. So I'm gonna go ahead, start applying the bleach, and then I'll check in with you a little bit later. Hi guys, we are back. As you can see, I've done the back of my head, and as you can see, my entire head is covered like with thick, a large quantity of bleach. As you can, like, I made myself like some bleach, right? Because I want to make sure I have enough to get me through the entire process, not have to mix halfway through. That's so annoying. No. And so I just have the 2 sections here to do. So we're gonna do these together. Now I'm gonna take the clip out. Now look, as you can see, look at this. Look at, I got bleach clearly on like a blonde part of my hair. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go over the sink and just wash this out real quick. Okay, got that taken care of. Which, side note, if your hair is wet, obviously the bleach isn't really gonna take effect. Like, your cuticle is swelled with water, so the bleach can't really get in there. The best it can do is like somewhat damage the outside of it. But I don't wet. I know there's like a technique where you can like wet the blonde parts or even like oil the blonde parts, but I don't do that, mostly because it'll start, my hair's so damaged, it'll like start clumping together to where I can't like section it out that well. But I'm gonna do a freehand here, comb everything out. We're going to section, yeah, just like some rough and dirty sections, right? Like, I'm not going for perfection. That's not what the point is here. Like, the bleach is gonna get in there. The amount of bleach I'm gonna put on it, it honestly doesn't even matter, like, if there's sections there. Like, do you see how much bleach is going upon my head? I'm gonna do my best not to, again, get on the already blonde bits. And then I'm gonna basically just cement this to the already bleached part of me head. Yeah, I almost use like the brush to actually like brush through it, right? Make sure every bit is getting some bleach on it. I'm gonna leave this part as well as like the very outside baby hairs till the very last, just because those are the most fragile, and I do not want those to break off. Though to be completely honest, I'm already willing to lose them. Like, they basically break off no matter what I do. I don't know if I said this in the beginning though either, but I'm in a well ventilated area, aka the window behind me is fully open. I have for sure actually gotten I don't know what you would call it, bleach fume poisoning, where my eyes started watering so bad my sinuses started like running. Like, you could tell like something was getting damaged up in there. So always want to make sure I'm in a well ventilated area. I'm gonna make sure these this whole front section business is like the most saturated of life, because you know, if anything, like if it really goes wrong, like you do all this, you think it looks good, you wash it out, you dry it, all of a sudden you realize like that ain't it. You want the front parts to be there, because you can always just put it up in a ponytail as long as the front is like fully like evenly bleached. Like, that's at least like your safety here. Also, this is a hot tip. Like, I'm currently barefoot just because like I never ever, because this happened to me once, which I don't know if I said this either. I've been bleaching my own hair at home for about 9 years now. I didn't realize it had been that long, to be fully honest. And then I did the calculation today just for the video, and I'm like, because I thought it was like I've been doing it for about like 5 years or something. It's actually been 9 years. Nor have I ever gotten a professional bleach job done. I've only ever done it myself, because I ain't spending that coin. Like, this is my hair. Like, it doesn't need to be like the most perfect thing in the world. Like, a little bit of patience and common sense will go far. So that's all I've ever done. But I never ever wear shoes or slippers or socks when I'm bleaching, mostly because if you like get bleach or toner on the floor, you step in it, you have like shoes or something else on, you can't feel it, and then you go and track it all through your house, onto your carpet, onto your rentals carpet. At least if I'm like barefoot and I step on something, you can like immediately feel it, right? That way you can like clean it off before you go trunching through the entire freaking house. Definitely never ever do I wear any slippers, as much as I want to spend my entire life in slippers. I do not wear them when I'm bleaching. Can you see that? Do you see how quickly my hair freaking turns? That's usually never like the first process that's ever really the problem. It's always the second one, because it'll turn pretty quickly to like orange and even like a very burnt yellow. But it's that like getting it from like, almost say like neon yellow into pale yellow, that's the real pain in the ass. Now we're gonna go in with the baby bits. Again, this is where you want to like make freaking sure you're getting every last inch here. I also always pull the hair away from my face. I don't want it to be like here, that way if it drips, it's not going directly into my eye. Now, I have gone from essentially gray, when I first started bleaching 9 years ago, I was in this like hair color phase, which in your early 20s, like what woman isn't, like basically, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to get black hair. So I go grab me some, I believe it was like specifically, because I still think they sell it, it's the Revlon like blue black hair dye. And I'm like, I want black hair. I'm emo. I want my hair to be fully black. And did that. It turned out beautifully. I did not get, I don't know why, I did not get any pictures of it though. And 2 weeks later, I'm like, you know what, I want to be a blonde now. If you know, you know that the worst thing you could possibly do is put black box dye on your head and then turn around and say, you know what, I want it all gone and then some. And please believe, I went and got color oops, like the color remover, to like get the permanent hair dye, like the black dye particles out of my hair first before I started that. And I remember my hair was long longer than it is now, and it was also thicker than it is now. And please believe that because it essentially comes in like a bottle where you put everything in like a squirt bottle and then squirt it on your hair. I went, mixed it all up. Okay, cool. I then went and squirted it on my hair, but the way in which I did it is like I went squirt, 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 and it was gone. Like there was no more solution left. And so I like tried to rub it around because it's like a very liquidy, almost like basically water solution. I'm like massaging it around with my fingers, thinking like, oh, you know, it'll lather. Sure it will. I let it process for like whatever time, and around my ears here, this is a very like irritating place to get in. You know, it's not a straight line. I'm just gonna get a wad of bleach on my finger and go in here, because you can never have too much bleach. You can only have too little. This bleach in particular, this ion one, does foam up a lot anyway, which then I think it does actually probably dry out a little bit more than probably a lot of other commercial bleach powders. But I like it just because it's never really, I've never gotten like a super bad chemical burn from it. Like, to be honest, I have gotten chemical burns before, like especially in the early days, right, where I was just like, caution to the wind, whatever, doesn't matter. It's always been pretty good to me, so I did not see any point in changing. And it's also like a decent price. Oh my god, not inside of my ear. No. Alright, I'm just gonna take a full towel here, get it wet, and get this out of the inside of my ear. That is not where bleach needs to be. Absolutely not. Where was I? Oh yeah, so I like wanted to go bleach blonde. I did this color Oops, and thought, you know, one box would do it. I went, washed it out, and lo and behold, it was just like, it didn't remove any of the black color like anywhere from around anything, except the places, I literally had 3 stripes of like bright frickin' orange like on my head. And I go to my mom, and I don't think I was crying, but I was like very clearly upset, right, because I had just like botched my hair. And she goes, like the lovely woman that she is, she goes, I think it looks cool. And I'm like, Mom, in what frickin' world are you living where 3 orange skunk stripes is like what's it? Like, no. Anyway, it took me like a good 6 months. You know, when I was like going to bleach my hair and I was like, you know, get comfortable with it in my mind because I knew I'd be doing it at home, I very much came to the conclusion that I'm like, if my entire head sizzles off, my hair is just completely gone. I am going to, actually, you know what, no. I'm gonna tie this up a little. Now, I do not take this hair, put it up in a bun, and then slap it on there. No, I don't want any bleach on there, so I'm just gonna like do like a loosey-goosey, just to like keep it as one over here. If you were someone out there who's watching this is like, yeah, like I totally want to be a blonde. Oh my gosh, like first of all, if you're doing it at home or at a salon, you had better be fully 100% willing to lose all the hair on your head, because that is very much what could happen. Like, of course, that's not the majority of people, right? Like, most people's hair, like, it'll break off, like, if it's really that bad. But there are some people where their hair is just too brittle, too fragile. You know, you're working with maybe, like, a stylist who didn't really, like, have a whole lot of experience bleaching hair, or even just bleaching your texture hair. Like, yeah, all I'm saying, if you're someone who wants to be bleached, you have to be willing to deal with like the repercussions of it, meaning you will most certainly have to come to grips with being able to lose all of your hair if that's what it comes to. But I was at the time. Luckily, like it took 6 months. I think I did like 4 bleaches. Like I didn't really care about being like orange hair, like honestly at that point in time. I did have to go through a few ugly stages, right, in order to get to blonde hair. Now I've never had fully like white hair. I have been very close to where a lot of my hair most of the time normally ends up in like a white / pale silver / pale blonde. Like it's a very like odd color. like when I buy extensions for it online, it's usually literally listed as like silver / bleach blonde. Like that's the color my hair usually turns out to be. I am going to let this sit for like 20 minutes. Like right now, I think I'm at like 25 minutes. That's how long it's been going ever since I like fully started putting bleach on. I'm gonna give this like 20 minutes. I'm then gonna go in and like poke around and make sure I've gotten like all bits of it. But I'll come back to you when it's time for that. Alright guys, we are back. It's been about like 15 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead, take off the cap, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start poking around, making sure there's no spots, or if like spots have dried out, reapply the bleach. Like you see here, where it's like, it looks just like dry. Because again, rather have far more bleach than necessary. Like you can never have too much bleach. Anything that just feels dry, I'm slapping some more bleach on there, please believe. I'm paying like extra attention to the places where my section lines were, because a lot of times those are where I miss the most. Just keep bleaching, just keep bleaching. Oh, yep, I found one because it looked way more golden than the rest of the hair around it. Like, see, I don't know if you guys can see that. Alright, so I got all those bits sorted out, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the cap back on. Then I'm basically going to check back every like 10 minutes or so, and I'm just looking at that point at the root. I'm looking for the root to be a very, very pale yellow. Alright guys, it has been about 35 minutes or so. Now I went and scraped off a bunch of the bleach from the root here, and as you can see, it's a very pale yellow. Now mind you, it's gonna look even more yellow when the bleach is washed out because the bleach currently is like a very white substance. So it's gonna look a little bit more yellow when it finally washes out, but it looks as though the root has finally changed enough to where I can wash it out, and I will get back with you guys when I rinse it. I might shampoo it. It just depends on if the bleach will wash out on its own. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Then I'm going to dry it with a hair dryer on cool and cool only. I'm not putting any heat on this head. It will make your head so inflamed and hurt and like throb. Just like heat the inflammation because it's already damaged, as you can tell by the red. And I will be back with you guys then. Okay guys, so here is where we are. Dried my hair. It is fully 100% dry. Absolutely needs to be dry in order to do the next bleach. And don't let this shine on here fool you. I put oil in it, that way I could brush through it a little bit more easily and dry it without like super damaging it. If I was into wanting to use T14, this is fine, okay? It can get through this like very yellowness. However, I have decided I want to go the extra my hell and use T18, which means this is not pale enough of a yellow in order for T18 to actually do what it needs to do. A good note, if maybe I was like in between thinking like, oh, should I do another bleach? Like, do I really need to do that? I always go like this and like put it in like a fake ponytail, and then you can start to really see how golden yellow it is. And that is not something that T18 is actually meant to do. It needs to be an even paler yellow. The roots are very pale yellow. I am just gonna go ahead, mix up some more bleach, go on essentially the mids. I'm gonna use 30 volume developer again. I just won't really have to leave it on as long as the last bleach process. And then I will get back to you when we have the bleach. Alright guys, so I put in all of the bleach. As you can see, I definitely avoided putting it on my roots and also on my skin or anywhere, especially that was like red, like absolutely not. So I'm gonna let this sit in a cap for probably like 20 minutes, then I'll go check it every 10 minutes until I get that like pale yellow I'm looking for. Okay guys, it's been about 25 minutes, and as you can see here, I rinsed out the bleach just to do a check on it, and we are all set. It is all even, so I am going to go ahead, rinse it out, and then blow dry it again. I'm only going to blow dry it to about 85% dry, just because I do like my hair a little bit damp when I go put the toner in. It makes it take more evenly, since like my ends are like very fried. I don't want it to soak up the toner more than like the rest of my head. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I will be right back so we can start the toning process. Alright guys, we are back. As you can see, everything is now even. Yes, it's basically the same color. The top is still like slightly a bit more yellow than the ends, but that's fine. When the toner goes in, it's all gonna even out. So let's go ahead and start putting the toner in. Now, as I said, I am gonna do T18 this time since I did feel like going the extra mile to get like a super pale yellow. I am gonna use 2 of these bottles though. So basically all I do is I just like dump that in there. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, 1 being the toner, 2 being the developer. And then I'm just gonna go in, fill up this bottle twice, and dump it in with the toner liquid. I'm gonna go in with bottle 2, do the same thing, and I am going in with the 10 volume developer because the hair is obviously already open. It doesn't really need anything, it just needs to activate the toner. Also, hot tip, these, since I do put the developer directly in it, these now need to be washed out with water because since the chemical reaction is now happening, since both of the products are in there, if you like, this has happened to me before. If you like just take this and screw on the top and throw it in the garbage, it will literally explode. Like for real explode. So need to wash it out. And then also when I throw them away, I am not gonna put the cap on just in case I didn't get everything out. The air will at least help it so it doesn't like fully explode. And then we mix. Now I have previously, in times past, did the toner the day after. And I know there is like there's certain people on the internet, hairdressers, that say waiting a day doesn't really have any effect, like your hair is already dead. There's no point in waiting the next day. Well, yes and no, I do disagree. The hair is not getting any deader. Like it was dead when it came out of your skin, it's dead when it's on your head, and it's gonna be the same amount of dead when it eventually breaks and falls off your head. However, your scalp is not. Your scalp is still very much alive. Granted, the top layers are not, but since you've literally bleached off and burnt off the top layers of skin, the remaining skin there is very much alive and inflamed, as you can see, especially just for like pain. If I would wait till the next day and put this on, my head would be feeling so much better. My skin would thank me a little bit more, but I'm a little bit too impatient and I do have a pretty high pain tolerance, so I don't mind putting it on now. All right, and it is all mixed up. I'm gonna give it just a second and then I'm gonna go ahead and start applying. And TBH, I do not use a brush with my toner. I just like go in and essentially dump it on my head and massage it around. Now, I know you're not supposed to, first of all, lather your hair, or secondly, massage it into your scalp. However, like I said, this hair is not 100% dry, which means I can't really section it out very well because it's so damaged, it's sticking together. I cannot brush it, otherwise it's gonna rip out half of my hair. So I can't really section it that well, and painting it on is just gonna be the biggest bee in the world. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dump it on. I am gonna focus more on the top half, and then after all the top half is saturated, I'll go ahead with the bottom half. So that's how I do my toner. I don't really use a brush. I just like slop it on there, use my hands, and that's honestly about it. Like so. It's already burning. My scalp is so mad at me. Why wouldn't it be? Feel the burn. Isn't that someone's like catchphrase? Like a brand's catchphrase? Also, I have to be very wary because this is like a very like kind of clear liquid right now. But in a few minutes, it's about to turn super purple and it will start staining anything and all things, including your skin, the porcelain of your sink, your clothes, like anything, everything and all things. Again, it is going to stain. So I do always make sure to be especially careful with my toner. Also, I do realize like bleach and toners don't lather, right? There's no like actual products or chemicals in them to make them lather. But especially since you saw how much bleach I put in my hair, like I really go ham, you can still push it around like the excess, as long as you're not squeezing it out. If there's just like excess product sitting on top of your hair, you can squish it around a bit, right? If you do like run out how when you have only like a little bit to go, you can like kind of like steal from areas and then go and put them in like the areas you missed. Because I have most certainly done that many a time when, especially if in my first bleach process, God, my eyes are burning. I notice I miss like a spot when I go through and do my first check, yet sometimes I've like thrown away the bleach. All right guys, so I have the toner all in. I'm gonna go ahead, bag it, and then I'm gonna wait probably like 10-15 minutes. All right guys, so it has been about like 10-15 minutes, something like that. So as you can see, this is the hairy purple, but it is gonna rinse out to a different color. So I'm gonna go rinse this out and then I will be right back. Okay guys, I am back. I rinsed out the toner. Now, hold on, before you see anything, I know it looks a bit gray, I know it looks a bit purple. We are not done yet. We have not finished metamorphosis. I'm gonna go ahead with this after treatment, which honestly, again, this is just like, I think a deep conditioning mask, like that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. I'm then probably gonna put on a full cap again and sleep with this in, rinse it out in the morning, let it dry, and then once it is fully dry, I'll go ahead and show you the final color. So I will see you tomorrow. Hi guys, we are back. It is the next morning. I did go ahead, wash out that after treatment. I put a little bit of my leave-in conditioner in it, and this is where we are at. It still has about like probably like another 20 minutes to like fully dry, but this is basically the final color. Now as you can see, it is a little bit more like yellow, darker here, and then it gets into white, which is to be expected just because obviously my ends were basically already white to begin with. And if you can tell, it's like slightly bit of a lavender undertone, because when it's wet you can really see like this is like very purple. I will insert some footage in 2 weeks when I wash my hair twice, because I only ever wash my hair once a week. It'll actually fade out, like the toner, the purple dye of it will actually slowly leave my hair, and then it'll leave it with more of like a true white, very bleach blonde, like that mix like I was talking about in the beginning of the video. This is it. As for the condition of my hair, I have lost quite a bit of hair, to be expected. However, I can tell it's not the most damaged thing in the world because it is drying pretty readily on its own. Normally, if hair is like super damaged, it won't really dry just because there's nothing left to the hair, and the hair has so much space within the strand itself to hold water. It doesn't want to give it up and will take longer in order to actually dry. But it's again drying, like it's been like 2 hours or so, and it's almost basically dry. I'm pretty happy with what happened here. Now going forward, first of all, I will not be brushing my hair for at least a week, and I'm gonna go ahead throughout the next few weeks just like add in a little bit of extra oil to the ends here. Like this texture, this like super curly wavy, is not my natural hair texture. This is a texture that results from like super damaged hair, aptly named ramen noodle hair, but it'll actually like die down a bit once the cuticle gets to be closed, which is why I won't be brushing it for the next week, because I'm waiting for the cuticle to close. That way when I go and brush it, it's not gonna fully rip out everything. But again, I did lose quite a lot of hair. I always do. I mean, this is not a natural look by any means, so it's gonna take some effort and some damage in order to get it, but I'm super happy with the result. All right guys, we are back. It is now 2 weeks later exact. As you can see, my roots have grown in a little bit there, but this is the final color after 2 washes, right? As you can tell, it did fade out to more of like a really pale blonde and not like a silver or a white. So this is my final bleach blonde color. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Again, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm Ashley Time for a Breather, and should you want to check out my previous video, please click to the left and make sure not to miss out on any future content by please clicking the subscribe button down below, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!